Hello, everyone, and welcome back to In the Yard podcast with your host, Collin and Braeden Cox. And today we are joined by a special guest, our good friend, Austin Kresge, who is a diehard Phillies fan. And the Phillies are going to be our topic of discussion in this episode. And he's going to give some hot takes, some analysis, and his thoughts going into the season. So, Kresge, just want to thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, as we all know, the Phillies snuck into the postseason last year and had one of the most magical runs we have seen by a team in a while. But unfortunately, the run came up just short, as also the Houston Astros in the World Series. Um, so I guess from here, we'll start with the negative side of things ahead of the season. 2 days ago, as we record this on March 25th, Saturday, Rhys Hoskins went down the other day during the preseason game. An MRI came back showing a torn ACL, and he's going to miss the whole season. Probably no longer a Philly after the season either. So, Kresge, how does this Rhys Hoskins injury affect the Phillies, and how can they overcome it?
Listen, first, I'm really upset that he got hurt because he's one of my favorite Phillies. He's one of the only two that are a homegrown Philly player, him and Nola. Um, but last year, he batted 250, 30 home runs, and, he's average level defensively. He made the switch from third to first, and, I don't know, struggled last year. The play he actually got hurt on, it had a one hopper that he kind of dropped, and then when he went down to pick it up, he
Yeah, I saw the
tore his
play. It was just
ACL.
very unfortunate.
Yeah, so it sucks, but I think on the defensive side of the ball, they can probably find somebody who can be maybe even more productive, even maybe on the roster already. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the bat to lose, a 250, 30 home run guy is going to hurt. I think 79 RBIs last year. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
hurt, but I don't know. Once Bryce gets back, I think, they'll probably be able to hide it, move some guys around and kind of hide that loss of the bat in the lineup somewhere. And knowing Dombrowski, man, there might be even a trade in the future that they can get somebody on the market, first baseman, or at least like a, utility guy somewhere.
And when is Bryce supposed to be back?
So they didn't put him on the
Like
60-day
All-Star?
IL. No, I
Okay.
think they're thinking sooner.
Yeah.
He's eligible. So they didn't put him on the 60-day, so he should he's eligible to be back May. I think it was 20th, 19th.
Yeah,
or 20th.
I saw he's hoping, optimistic about coming back end of May.
But
So
I don't know. I think they should just maybe rest into the All-Star anyway.
yeah,
I agree.
Maybe
I was just gonna
maybe they
say
can do the
that.
same thing he did in the postseason, where just hits though.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
that's what
something
they're
like
gonna do
that.
with him.
Say
For
he
the
could
year, I
DH.
think.
He's going to DH. He's going to be
Well,
DH.
because they did a thing last year with Castellanos, because Castellanos has below average defensive numbers.
He
But
looked good in
some
the
great
postseason last year, though.
He had some great plays. Well, what they did, I watched a video on it. Where he's above average fielding in right field is plays moving to his dominant side, to his
Yeah,
right
yeah, I
side.
think I saw that video also.
So they had him play all the way to close to center field to Marsh and center. So any balls, lines or fly balls hit to right field, he could track to his right on, and that's how he could make the play. And that's why he was in
Yeah.
those diving play situations. But they're going to his right. So
Yeah.
what they did last year, because they're a really poor defensive team, they put all their chips in the offense.
Yeah,
But what they did last year to hide their kind of, their defensive lacking, they did well on it.
yeah. In the postseason, there wasn't any plays. Well, from what I've seen, there wasn't any plays. I was like, wow, the Phillies defense stinks.
Yeah.
They were making plays when they had to. So
Yeah, I mean,
I know Nick Castellanos, he was making all those diving plays, but that also could be because he's such a has bad depth perception of the ball, where he has to make those diving plays. But as long as he gets the out, that's all that matters.
I think those diving plays came from the fact that they're playing him so close to center that now you got a whole, basically all of right field to cover on foot.
Right, right.
So balls were in I don't know, Harper when he played right would already be in right field
Yeah.
and just be under him. He had to run over and make that play. So, but I don't know. I'm excited still. It sucks. Like I said, Rhys is one of my favorite Phillies, homegrown guy. It just I don't think it's not like it's a Schwarber injury or a Turner injury.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate as it is. I think they can still recover, and especially
Yeah,
this early in the season.
So I'm seeing possibly Derek Hall could be his replacement, and he
Yes.
batted very similar numbers to Rhys Hoskins. I know much smaller sample size, but he batted 250, 9
Yeah.
home runs, 804 OPS in 41 games. in his rookie
Yeah.
season. Like I feel like that's very solid, and if he has those similar numbers for his full season, that like you'll take that any day. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing with him is there's a couple things. He's not great defensively either. His position in the minors was first base when he played, on the field. But the thing that they worked on with him all season and that he was really poor with last year was lefties. Hoskins' split with lefties was pretty decent. He's batting like 1 for 12 against lefties. He had like a 140 average against lefties. And I was reading the whole thing in an interview with Rob Thompson where they were working on him all offseason against lefties. So hopefully improve there. But, I mean, he has a good bat. I mean, he showed it. He averaged a home run every 16 at-bats, and Hoskins averaged every 19. So he's a little...
Yeah, like it's like a home run every
co-
4 games. Like
Yeah.
I know.
If he comes along,
Yeah.
this year, I mean, last year was his rookie season. He only had 49 at-bats or 50 at-bats, whatever it was. So, I mean, it's a chance for him to improve and come along. I think, he'll be okay.
Yeah, and then obviously you still have one of the best catchers in baseball in J.T. Realmuto, right?
Yeah.
You have big free agency signing in Trey Turner. I don't think the Phillies, even with the Rhys Hoskins injury, I don't think they dropped off that much. One thing I wish they would have improved a little more on is their bullpen still.
Yeah.
I know they made some
Yeah.
moves, but
They-
I think they got Brad Hand, but Brad Hand's like 40 years old now.
Yeah, they lost.
So what are your thoughts on there?
They lost a lot of guys more so than they gained. I'm really upset that they lost. Robinson went to the Mets.
Okay.
But they kept their core closers. I mean, they kept Dominguez. They kept Alvarado. They kept their guys that really carried them through the postseason in the bullpen. I'm really excited to see what Walker does this season. They signed Taijuan Walker from the Mets, and I'm excited to see what he does.
They got him too. Yeah.
And the thing they're doing, so their bullpen got hurt. I mean, Ranger Suarez has a sore throwing arm. They're resting him for the rest of the spring training. He might not be around for the first rotation or two. And obviously the UCL sprained a Painter.
Yeah.
But I think they're handling the Painter situation completely different. They had Painter competing for the 5th rotation spot. And I think with a rookie season, I mean, Painter's got great stuff. He's 19 years old, top pitching prospect in the minors. I think they should have him as a middle relief guy, so he can throw his 98, 99 mile an hour fastball and his 92 mile an hour slider, and he only has to do it for 3-4 innings. Maybe get some middle innings out of him, get him used to the show and stuff, and not have to use his arm real in long stretches.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have a guy you can throw in if you need the 5th starter, so there's an injury you have. But then you could get middle innings out of him, set up like a setup guy or stuff, So hopefully he comes back healthy by All-Star, and they kind of use him more in that role than using him, like Wheeler and Nola, where they're using him every 5 days and pitching him 6 innings, and so I mean,
that starting rotation, you got the Nola Wheeler 1-2 punch. I feel like the Phillies are gonna be fine this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
agree.
a little worried about Nola this season. I don't know. I feel like prime Nola is a few years past, and I just hopefully he can keep it going to the level. I mean, obviously he's going to be at least an above average pitcher. That's just I'm just worried for him. But we'll see. And then other than that, they did a really good job hiding their bullpen disadvantages throughout the whole postseason. They were giving up a 1.9 ERA. The whole bullpen was throughout the postseason. So, I mean, they did a really good job at hiding it. And like I said before, with Rhys Hoskins and knowing Dombrowski, I'm sure they're going to make all kinds of moves during the, mid-season around the deadline and stuff.
So, go ahead.
I can confidently say that this Phillies roster that's going to start opening day is not what we're going to see.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was they're going through, they're going through some stuff right now, but this isn't, this roster isn't completely different than what we saw last year. But I wanted to ask you about your expectations, your new shortstop in Trey Turner. Electric World Baseball Classic
that was
he
gonna
put
be my
on.
next
Electric
topic, too.
World Baseball
How do you feel
Classic.
about him?
5 homers. What's the expectation with him?
Yeah, man,
for this season?
I'm super excited to have him. When they signed him, I mean, obviously, everybody knows he's one of the best shortstops in baseball, if not the best. So even when they signed him, I was really excited. But I didn't really sit down and watch a lot of Dodgers games, so I didn't really watch a huge sample size of him. It's everybody hears Steph is the best shooter in basketball, but when you sit down and actually watch Golden State, it's oh yeah, he's the best shooter in basketball. And it was the same with Trey. Watching him the couple games during spring training and then during the World Baseball Classic, man, I'm super excited. And, if he can hit like that,
yeah.
I mean, he's an MVP caliber player. I mean, he hasn't won one, and there's a lot of good players. But I mean, even to be a caliber player, I just think he fits that lineup really well. And I keep hearing all this talk Schwarber being the leadoff man still, but I think Turner as the leadoff man. You have a true leadoff man in Turner with speed and stuff. I think he fits this lineup well, and fits a hole that they had really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Really like that pick with the Phillies, and then obviously he balled out during the World Baseball Classic, and then you just mentioned Kyle Schwarber too, who led the NL, I think, in home runs last year, right?
He was the NL home run king. It gets overshadowed because Judge did what Judge did last year.
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, he had I think it was 40 some home runs. I'll have to look it up, but
he was right behind Judge for the first couple
for
months.
A while.
They were right there, and then Judge pulled away. Obviously,
yeah, he was, and he really good bat. Obviously that's why they signed Schwarber. We saw what he did with his ACL tear, and then coming back and helping the Cubs win the World Series in 16. So that's why another reason I want them to move Schwarber down in the lineup. I kind of want them to do, if we just go right into the lineup stuff, I want them to do Trey lead off and maybe JT second, because Schwarber again, home run king. A lot of his home runs, if you look at it, were solo shots with leadoff innings and that.
right.
Then if they move him to third, even second, then you got a chance for him to set up 2 or 3 run home runs. Really kind of help them with some more runs on the board. So
You're seeing that with a lot of power hitters these days. They're hitting first. I'm assuming it's 1, so they get more at bats, and 2, so if 7, 8, 9, those guys do somehow get on, then they'll have that roll right over to a power hitter at the top of the lineup. But I see what you're saying. I'd rather have a guy like Schwarber hit 2 or 3, especially when you have Trey Turner now.
Exactly.
Who's an on-base machine, right?
Because you have someone like Trey Turner who could bat leadoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and then, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess maybe is Kyle Schwarber is he double play prone, or how does he do in those situations?
No, I mean he's got good power, so he's got a good lift when he gets underneath
right.
it.
He
didn't really ground into a lot of balls. He's surprisingly fast, dude. When you look at Schwarber, how he's building stuff. You're like, oh, that's not a speed guy. Watching him move the bases, he's surprisingly fast. It's just, I was looking up here. He had 46 home runs last year. So, I mean, really great season. But yeah, no, he's surprisingly fast. And I just feel with that power behind him, I'd rather have guys, on the top of the lineup where you need production for him to set him up. And even they had some young guys, Bohm was hitting 7, and Segura, who's no longer there, but he was hitting 8. Then those guys gave you production.
Yeah.
So, once the game got going, it wasn't all bad. I just feel with the rule changes this year, and basically I think, any of those big prolific base stealers are going to be even better than they were. So Trey being a perfect base stealer,
field day this season.
I think he's going to have probably a 30-plus steal season again this year.
Yeah.
So having that on the base, and then that just adds pressure to the pitcher more, so having the guy like Turner on base, and then having to worry to pitch to Schwarber too. So
cool.
Yeah, cool. So I don't know. I'm thinking about this from an NL East standpoint. So obviously you have your big dogs, Mets, Braves, Phillies, Miami, who's a good young team, right?
Yeah, and they were good last year.
And then they also, who's that last team?
Washington Nationals. The Nationals.
Yeah, the Nationals. Okay, so the Nationals they're rebuilding right now. So
yeah,
don't worry about them. So I still think the top 3 are Mets, Braves, Phillies, right? So Braeden, let me start with you. Do you think the Phillies could win that East? Do you think they'll come in second? Do you think they'll come in third? What is your prediction there?
Yeah, I was hoping we would talk about this. The Phillies, in my eyes, they're a wild card team, at the minimum, right?
That's what I
And it's like, looking at last year, the Braves were so good. I mean, obviously the Phillies ended up beating the Braves in the playoffs. The Mets were good, and then they ended up losing to San Diego. So I think to some extent it's wide open. Like, I think any one of those three teams can win it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you asked me who I think, like, if you asked me for the final end of season standings, I'd probably go Braves 1, Phillies, Mets, Marlins, Nationals. But
so
like,
you got the Mets at 3.
But that's the thing is, like, it's
Yeah.
wide open. Like, I think it could be very few games separating. Like, the Phillies Mets, like, I don't know what those last, like, look at those last, like, 3 series of the season and see where they are in the standings. Because I could see a potential, like, if the Phillies play the Mets in, like, the last 2 weeks of the season, like, that series could decide it. You know what I mean? I think they're very even. But I'm going to still pick the Braves to win the East.
Yeah, here's what I'm worried about for the Phillies. You have Bryce out for the first at
Exactly.
least 2 months, and those games are going to be huge. Like those,
Yeah.
I know, like it's those April May games. It's the beginning of the season. They're going to be huge in the beginning of the season when it comes September when they're all fighting for those standings, right? So that's why I'm a little worried with Bryce out that the Phillies might get off not a slow start, but the Mets and Braves always seem to start off hot and stay hot.
Yeah.
And the Phillies getting that little hole is going to be hard to catch up to the Braves and Mets. I know Edwin Diaz went down with that
Yeah.
injury, so he can't play. But I don't think it's going to hurt the Mets that much. They have Verlander now,
Yeah.
who's getting older, but year in and year out performs in the regular season.
Yeah,
At
he
least
performs
always has
every
a solid
year.
He was
Doesn't
Cy Young winner
matter.
last year.
Yeah, and it's like, that's why I say, like, I think the Braves for me would be a lock at 1 if you made me pick right now. And the Mets and Phillies, it could go either way. It depends. If the Phillies start hot, even without Bryce, they could win it. But I don't really expect that.
Here's the
I
thing:
expect
the
them to
Phillies,
be like,
all they have to
at the
do.
beginning.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, here's the thing with the Phillies. All they have to do is make the playoffs, as we saw last year, right? That's all they got to do is get there. And
that's
then
why I said they're a
anything
wild
can
card
happen,
team at the minimum.
especially
Is
in
they're going to
Philly.
be, like, they're
Yeah.
going to be one of the 3 teams, like the 3 top teams in the NL East. I think we can all agree there. They could be 1, they could be 2, they could be 3. We don't know. But they're going to have a record by the end of the year that's going to justify a playoff berth, in my opinion, just looking at the NL overall.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Mets.
Ooh.
I think we go Mets. I think we go Mets, Phillies, Braves. I think the Braves did drop off a little bit.
A little, yeah.
I think they did drop off a little bit this year. I don't know. And then year in year out, they can never stay consistent. They have no more Frederick Freeman as they didn't last year, obviously. So I think we're gonna go Mets, Phillies, Braves. Mets and Phil. I think both the Phillies and the Braves make the playoffs.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you, so are all 3 of those teams making the playoffs?
Yeah, just because if you look at the rest of the NL, right, you have your, like, I think Cardinals, Padres,
Dodgers,
right?
Padres, yeah.
Um,
Giants,
so
maybe.
yeah, I think, and then trying to think of one more. Who else is
Chicago.
who else is in the NL West besides the Padres?
Yeah, what about, like, the White... Oh, wait, no, the White Sox are AL. I don't know, I'm blanking. But
I usually know off the top of my head. I'm on the spot here. But yeah, I do think that Braves and Phillies are both going to squeak into the playoffs as an NL wild card.
Brewers, Pirates, Central.
So yeah, potential playoff teams. Obviously, you got the Dodgers, Padres, like you said, Phillies, Braves, Cardinals.
Maybe San Francisco.
Sleeper team, yeah, maybe San Francisco. Sleeper team might be a Diamondbacks this year. They made some moves. They have a good farm. They have a good farm down there. So yeah, but I still think the Braves and Phillies are both going to make the playoffs. Kresge, what's your thoughts on the NL East situation over there?
Well, the first thing I wanted to say was with the Mets. I think Diaz is going to hurt him a lot. I mean, think about like the mania he had last year around him. And then losing to Grom, like I know they got Verlander, but they got almost 40-year-old Verlander or a 40-year-old Verlander. They lost Cy Young.
Who's still very good, but like long term.
Yeah, they lost Cy Young, 34-year-old Jacob deGrom.
So DeGrom's the best pitcher in baseball.
The Mets are going to do what the Mets do every single year. They're going to win 100 games, and the Braves are going to take them out in the wild card. No, but I really do think they're going to win the division still. it's just how the Mets operate. They always tear it apart in the regular season. Not to say that they're not a team poised for a deep playoff run. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect the Mets, even though I am a Phillies fan.
It's just history.
Yeah, it's just and then the Braves. It's good. I think it really after that's gonna be a toss up between the Braves and the Phillies. Like the Braves didn't make any moves. They lost Swansby, but they always do that every year. They don't make any moves, and then somehow they're a 95+ win team every year. So I think the NL East especially is going to be a tough division in the fact that they probably have 3 90+ win teams there, and then like Marlins, they had looked really good last year. They could sneak in with 80 some wins. So it's going to be a really tough division. I think injuries are going to play a big key. I'm kind of, as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of happy the Phillies are dealing with the injury bug now, because it is a 162 game season and they haven't even played one yet. So, as far as the Mets losing Diaz, I think that's going to hurt him. I mean, he was probably the best closer of baseball last year. And then, instead looking out west, Giants, really great ball. I think they're going to have a really great season this year. I'm interested to see what the Dodgers do, because they didn't really make any moves. I mean, Turner signed away. They tried. They didn't make any. They made some, but no home run moves. So we'll see. But they're always another one of those teams that like the Braves, they don't tend to do anything, stay quiet in the offseason. All of a sudden, they're a 90+ win team too.
And then they'll just suddenly sign Trey Turner and Max Scherzer in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So I have just projected standings up. I'm not even sure what the size is, so it may
I
not
saw a
be
lot of
credible
projections of the
source.
Phillies finishing third. I think they're going to finish above the Braves.
So this says that the Braves are a 94 win team, the Mets are a 93 win team, and the Phillies are a 90 win team. That's what this is saying. So they're saying that they're all within 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. And the thing I think that always hurts the Phillies in the preseason projections is their lack of bullpen moves all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
So
And looks like Braeden frozen us again. That's okay. He'll log back in. But yeah, like you were saying, Kresge, just didn't address the bullpen as much as I would have liked them to.
No, I mean when you go out and spend $300 million, that's kind of your budget. I feel for an off season. But no, I think they'll look good. I mean, they got options to cover what happened with Reese. I think once Bryce gets back in the lineup, then you have that potent weapon that almost what he bat last year, 330 or 350 something, whatever, in the postseason. So that's one thing though I want them to do this year that I wanted to touch on is during a lot of the big games last year they didn't really have to pitch to Bryce because they could walk Bryce if they had the base open and pitch to Castellanos and Hoskins. I really hope Castellanos is a hitter again like he was, the league knows him to be. He had his slumps last year, especially during
Detroit Castellanos.
Yeah, especially during the postseason, he had some pretty good slumps. So I'm hoping they kind of maybe that's another thing. I want them to maybe almost put Harper when he's back third, and Schwarber 4, or flip those two. That way you got to pitch to one of those guys. You walk Schwarber, you're gonna have to pitch to Harper or vice versa, especially in big games. You can't walk 2 guys back to back. So I think they have plenty of options, and I'm sure, this Phillies team, the way spring training is going, seems to me like it's going to be a 160 game experiment of what they're going to end up looking like. But I mean, they really think they're going to win some games in there. So we'll see. I mean, I'm really excited about this year.
Yeah, here was my outsider perspective of last year's Phillies roster, right? I looked at the roster, I'm like, wow, this team is very deep. If all these guys play to their full potential, they're a very good team. I just felt like they kind of did underperform in the regular season. They had a lot of injuries. Bryce was out for a while. Castellanos seems to always go down at least once a year, right? Yeah. But yeah, again, like I said, if all they have to do is make the playoffs healthy, and then they could get on that run. That's why, I know statistically the Phillies were underdogs, or from a seating standpoint and all that. But like they really like they had a great roster last season.
Oh,
So like
absolutely.
they're not like true. Not that they weren't underdogs, but like they had a solid roster. It wasn't like they went on this magical run where they all got hot. Like no, they were solid. When they're healthy, they're solid. So I think
Yeah.
they could carry that into this season too, and make a little shot for the postseason again.
Well, that's the thing with the Phils last year and again this year is staying healthy. Um, and it's honestly like it's baseball. You got a 162 game season. You're playing. Best teams are playing until October. Um, I'd rather them, like I said, figure out, I'll just get this injury bug out now, and win some games where they can. If they sneak in as the third in the NL East and they make the playoffs, like they're a playoff team. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So if that's what it has to be, and then they are all healthy for the postseason, I'd rather have that than being healthy now and then all of a sudden everybody like getting hurt in August. But yeah, I mean I looked at them last year when they're fully healthy. They were a 7-8 deep team on the offense. I mean, I think still same this year. Like Bohm, I think has improved as a hitter, and I've seen it during spring training so far. I think he has potential to be a really good hitter. Stott was in his rookie year last year, and he showed flashes. So they just have to improve on that. And then, like, I watched a video with Marsh, because they traded for Marsh that was really, like, a defensive guy, center fielder. They need the defense. Mm-hmm. But I was watching a video on him about how his swing kind of there's some signs that looked obvious that like he was working with Bryce and Bryce was working with him. It's leg kick and some other stuff, and he had some really good hits. He just had a triple last day, or the game Reese got hurt. He had a really nice triple center field gap. So they really could be a team that hits 8 deep this year, 9 deep when they're healthy. So, which is nice because then it gives them options, like I said, to kind of move Bryce around, Schwarber around, those guys around to get, make them pitch to somebody. It's really just a matter like, is Castellanos going to be on fire over like the Detroit Castellanos that they signed for, these younger guys, Bohm and Stott, can they, hit the ball? And then the big thing I wanted to say too is Stott, like, making the move from short to second. I know he's young and stuff, and it's like kind of the same position, but opposite thinking. So
yeah, no, yeah. 100%.
So I hope we'll see a couple things. The other thing I was like with that though in my head is like maybe because Turner is the caliber player he is. I know he's a shortstop, but if Stott struggles at second really bad, like to the point where they need to do something, maybe they can just switch him back. And I feel like Turner can pretty much grasp any infield position anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of question marks with them, but there's also I feel like it's not like they're unanswerable questions. They can figure it out through the year. And so just hopefully everybody got better. Hopefully everybody was kind of locked in. I know the Astros were the best team in baseball, and the fact that the Phillies even made it there after their 11-year postseason drought and stuff. I mean, I was happy. I'm sure they were all happy, but I know it was like professional athletes that are competitors probably made them hungry for a pennant, and so hopefully they all kind of kept that all off season and worked on it. We'll just see what they do. I'm excited. Like I said, long season, but hopefully they stay locked in. So
yeah. So I'm assuming over under for Phillies wins is like probably 89.5, 90.5 around that range. What are you going over or under, Kresge? I mean, obviously you're hoping over, but
I'm really going over. I mean, they won 86 games last year. I really think they're better this year. Core components, obviously, the Turner signing, losing their bullpen guys, but even signing Turner, I think makes them better.
Right.
I think,
he could probably gives you at least I feel like he gives you at least 5 more wins of the season.
Yeah, I'm really going over. I want a 90-win season is really what I want. I think that's that should be the goal for the regular season of this team.
Definitely plausible for them. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, and I say it too because pitching is the second half of baseball, but it's also like this is obviously a team that is built offensively minded more than any like baseball team probably in the history of baseball. They really just threw defense out the window when they signed Bryce, which, I mean, roll with what you have. So to me, if you can have guys that can get the ball across the plate and get you innings, like, I don't even know if their bullpen is super important, at least for the regular season, and then they can kind of do what they did during the postseason last year and hide their weaknesses. So, We'll see. I really want, I think the goal this year for them should be a 90-win season. They got some really tough competitors in the East, and so hopefully that'll happen. I just, stay healthy and get healthy, and I'm really excited. I've been more excited about this Phillies roster than I have in a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know the feeling. All right, so I'm going to hit you guys with a couple of fun questions before we wrap it up here.
Sure.
So what is your guys' favorite Phillies uniform? I have mine. So they have the pinstripes kind of, they have the creams, they have the baby blues, they have the roads. What's your guys' favorite?
It's the baby blues. Come on.
Baby blues.
That's the baby blues. Come on, you can't go wrong. The
Baby blues throwbacks.
Dude,
Kresge, what's yours?
The throwbacks are always a classic. I have a bunch of old 80s pennant stuff and gear and that. But I really like the off-white, the cream colored, the desert tan ones. They're so nice.
Honestly, they have...
Yeah.
They have some of the best jerseys
I was
in
going to go
baseball.
with the cream Phillies one.
Yeah.
It's classic. It gets the job done. I did like the baby blues, but all the teams are doing baby blue now, so I'm kind of leaning toward cream.
The Phils are doing baby blues since way back, though. That's all I gotta say.
That's true. They were the first team to do it, but now it's
one of the
first
first
teams
creams.
to do it.
I think the creams are nice.
Yeah, the creams are nice.
You know.
They got some of the best jerseys in baseball.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think all the older Phillies fans, especially even my grandparents, my dad, and that, they're all like, oh, the '80s are the classic. That's the classic jersey to me. But I think when I'm their age, I'm gonna be like, oh, those tan, from my generation, those tan uniforms, that's the classic right there. So.
And then Kresge, give me your favorite Philly memory of all time, and then favorite Philly memory from 2022, unless they're the same one. You give me a couple of your favorite memories.
I think they're gonna both probably be obvious choices. My favorite from this year is a little easier one. It's Bryce's home run. That's
against the Padres.
Sent him to
Yep.
Swing of his life.
That was swing
classic.
of his life. I got a few from growing up as a kid, man. Obviously Roy Halladay's perfect game and no hitter in the postseason were up there, but I like watching them win the World Series with Brad Lidge struck out there in that 08. I remember how the living room and the house was set up still, where I was sitting, where my dad was sitting. That's just one of my and
it's a core memory.
2 World Series, and that was one of them. And one of my early sports memories too was like that, dude. It was I can't beat it. Chasing another one.
Yeah,
and one of my.
Oh, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one of my core favorite memories as a Yankee fan is beating your Phillies in 09.
Oh,
dude, I didn't actually even watch that final game. I was when they were playing the Tampa Bay the year before and they won. My dad let me stay up for every game. We watched them all. It was and the next year the Yankees are so much better. I hate the Yankees for so long for that, but looking back at it, they were so much better. It's like the Astros this year. They were just so much better. So Dad's like, nah, you might as well just go to bed. And every time, and then they ended up, what was it, a pop-up to third, right? That ended it there.
I think it might have been a grounder to Cano.
Was that it? Yeah. I just remember watching the
I
highlights.
can't remember.
I'll fact check that. But yeah, I remember, I wasn't even a Phillies fan, but our buddy Brent, his dad had season tickets, so I used to go to games with him. We were maybe 1 or 2 a year with him, when we were 8, 9, 10, around there. I remember one game we were there. Phillies are playing the Reds. They're down 7-1 in the 8th inning. People were starting to leave. We're for some reason we stay, and then they end up coming back from 7-1. It was just electric. It was something I'll never forget. I wasn't even a Phillies fan, but it was so fun.
It's funny.
It's electric.
It's funny you said that because there's
stuff.
actually a few games I went to that we got tickets from Brent's dad that they couldn't go down. So, yes.
Oh.
So, yeah, sitting out there in left field.
Yeah.
But
those are always fun.
Before we wrap this up, I want to ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Did you guys see the MLB ads about the new rule changes? They're trying to.
Yeah.
The one with Blake Snell. The one with Blake Snell.
What is this?
The one with Blake Snell and Tim Anderson.
Yeah, and then there's the one with Brian.
Bro, that's so goofy.
They've made a couple.
Goofy.
Here's what I think.
I just don't like how they're promoting it this hard. Come on.
Here's really where I think that they went wrong. Obviously, like if you got to promote like your rule changes like through commercials, I've never seen any other sports league do that.
No,
like
no.
It's obviously universally hated. And I know they're trying to speed the game up, making it more, get more viewers and stuff like that. But they're also at the same hand. I really think they might end up losing viewers this year. I think they're going to drive away a lot of the core
Really?
fans who really like baseball the way it was.
Well, we
think,
did a video on this. Yeah, we already did a video on this.
Listen to that one?
Dude,
Yeah,
I got a lot going on. It's hard to do.
When we talked about that in the video, we said that like basically like the casual viewer will enjoy it more, but then like the old timers are going to be the ones that are going to be like, I don't like this.
I mean, obviously, I'm still going to watch it, but yeah,
I don't think it's going to push anyone away. Like I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know.
I think that there's going to be some people that give this new rule changes a chance, and they're going to be like,
the people who don't like change, don't like change are going to like it a ton. But I don't know if it'll drastically drop viewership.
Well, where I think they went wrong is they did all these rule changes, boom, 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 same year. I think they should have maybe started with the shift because that had to go. Everybody hated the shift. I think that was like a universally hated thing was the shift.
I didn't mind the shift though. Like I was always just like,
I didn't mind the shift.
You have a free left side. You literally get a double by bunting it, but whatever.
Like I said to you when we were playing with football in your backyard, I was like, beat it, don't ban it. But at the same time, I get like baseball as its truest form is playing 9 guys where they're supposed to be. So I see it both ways. So I think they could have started with that and maybe even got away with the bases and then did the pitch clock like next year or the year after. Like I feel like them doing all 3 in one season changing
it's just
the game
a lot, yeah.
As much as a lot. So.
And the thing is, like MLB, they'll change rules in the middle of the season. So like if a player starts complaining about one or something, like they'll just like, all right, fine. I don't know if they'll do that this year. Because remember last year with the spider tag?
No, they're not going to. They're not
a thing in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago.
They're not going to be able to go away from any of these rule changes.
Well, it's so funny about like I think they should just let those guys use stuff. I think like they should just let them use that because when you mix rosin with your sweat and your hair, it gets like sticky as like the ball stick to your hand if you just hold it like this. So I was like, might as well just let them use what they got to use rather than make it fair for everybody. This is open. This is fair for you guys pitching the ball, and just let them do it.
It's fair. I mean,
I think because then you got guys bending the rules. You got them checking the umps checking the pitchers every time they go into the dugout after every inning. It's like
check their hat.
They're making it harder for themselves. And I'm sure you're telling me there's not pitchers that are still.
Yeah,
they're gonna listen.
Yeah, you're right.
They will find ways around it.
Yeah.
You ban something, they'll find the next thing, and then they'll find out about that in 2 or 3 years, and they'll do the same thing.
At least give them the rosin bag and the sweat. I mean, that rosin bag is on the mound, and they sweat naturally. At least give them that. Like like give them something. Don't try to like crucify them for getting a leg up. I mean, that's been baseball since its start was just people trying to get a leg up. Next best thing.
Yeah.
What they should really do is they should let them use the rosin or use the spider tack, whatever they got to use, and then bring back the really like juice dense balls they had that were going like 450 feet. I think they should just give it fair for everybody. So it's like harder to make contact because it's higher spin, but once you do make contact, it's gone.
That 2019 juice ball era,
I'm telling you,
the Yankees were unstoppable.
They should bring it back.
Really should. That's how you grow. That's what they were trying to do. Like they were trying to grow their game back that way by hitting home runs, but then pitchers started complaining.
Yeah, so let them have the tack.
So is the pitchers.
Let the pitchers have their tack and let the hitters have their juice balls, and then there you go.
Fair.
Everybody's cheating.
See what he says. Everybody wins.
Speaking of bending the rules, I forgot to ask. I wanted to ask when we were talking about like NL teams. Is Tatis reinstated?
I think coming back soon. Like I thought he was gonna be out for at least half the season, but I looked up. He's coming back in like 2 weeks. Like not 2 weeks from now. Like 2 weeks from the season starts.
Who is it?
They'll be as much as I hate to admit it because I don't like the Padres. They'll be a really good team if he's back. And they're fully healthy.
I think we might get a Padres episode in before the season starts. So
we'll
see how that goes.
So
all right, I think we're running a little short on time here. So Kresge, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
I just have one. I just have one final point here. Top of the second, the Yanks are playing the Phillies. Fortunately, while we're recording this, and it's 5-0 Yankees. Aaron Nola pulled in the second inning.
Oh,
well, I don't take spring training.
No, I don't take it serious. I just
like,
thought
I don't.
It's good
No,
content.
he's got to get that stuff out now. That pull in the second inning stuff.
Exactly.
You know, also, he might be experimenting. Maybe he's got a new pitch he's trying to work on or something.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but
And he's probably
I don't
also,
know.
she's probably not trying to get hurt.
When is opening day this year? The 1st, right? April 1st.
Next Thursday.
So
Next
that's when
Thursday.
I really start watching
Thursday is
baseball.
opening day.
Is it
It's
Thursday?
actually March 30th, I think.
March 30th, yeah.
So yeah, that's really when I start watching baseball. But so
All right.
all right.
Thank
guys,
you again,
thanks having
Kresge,
me.
for coming on.
Yeah, this was awesome. This was fun.
Yeah.
We might have to. We'll have to get like a mid-season. We'll have to get like a mid-season report.
Yeah, I'll come
on
back for a
Kresge.
mid-season checkup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you guys are doing this. This is awesome. I got to catch up on some episodes, but my end of the life's been a little hectic with a newborn and everything. So
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Awesome.
All right.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone, for listening. Thank you, Kresge, for coming on. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll have more baseball content coming soon. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one.